Switching now to the Berryman Award. I've been lucky enough to be a judge for the Berryman Award for the past several years. And it's a really interesting process, especially given that most of us are not actually cartoonists. It somewhat reminds me of the scene in the movie Annie Hall, where Alvy Singer is trying to impress Annie with his intellect and says of photography, well, photography is interesting because, it's a new art form and a set of aesthetic criteria haven't emerged yet. And cartoons obviously aren't a new art form, but for our committee, we don't ever agree on a set of aesthetic criteria. But every year we agree on what we like and what works and what's best. It always stands out, and this year is no exception. This year the winner is Rob Rogers from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, of whom our judging panel said, he has a visual style that invites you in. He tackles really heavy issues with a light-handed visual touch and leaves no confusion about his point of view. He knows what he wants to say. And now we'll hear from Rob, who will show us exactly why he is this year's Berryman Award winner.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much to the National Press Foundation and to Sandy, and for this great honor. Also, I'd like to thank the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, my publishers there, and the editors who recognize the importance of having a local cartoonist, which unfortunately many newspapers have failed to see and have let them go. And finally, I'd like to thank my media naranja, Sylvia Rohr. She's my better half, and she makes every day a joy and is the only one that I trust to help me with a cartoon idea. And trust me, I get a lot of cartoon ideas from people. But what's interesting to me about this award is it's named after Clifford K. and James T. Berryman. It was a father-son team of cartoonists, which is very, very unusual. Now, my father, he was not a cartoonist. He was a pulmonary physician, and very different. And he developed a process called lung lavage, which is where they wash out a patient's lung with saline, and he became kind of famous for that. So he used to use my cartoons in his medical talks, and so he would ask me to draw cartoons for his talks. And so this is what I consider my first editorial cartoon, because it's a drawing of someone in power, and it's called My Dad, the Lung Washer. And my spelling was just as good back then as it is now. And here it is. I have him like washing out the lungs and hanging them on the clothesline. And I like to call this my first editorial cartoon because my dad had a full head of hair, but I still drew him without hair. So I was already criticizing him. Anyway, what he used to do is he would give these medical talks, which are kind of, tough to get through sometimes. So he would use the cartoons in there to keep people awake. So every few minutes he would show a cartoon. So I'm going to kind of use the same theory, and in between my cartoons, I'm going to show you some lungs. This is an emphysema lung here. So any of you smokers out there, beware. But one of the things that I think about often is comedy and tragedy, which is really something that is relegated to the theater, but editorial cartooning is also all about comedy and tragedy, although we would draw it more like this, I think. But what's interesting to me is that every day I have to pick up the newspaper and I see stories about obesity, war, income inequality, racism, and I have to find a way to make that funny. And believe it or not, I can sometimes do that. So here I'm going to show you just a sampling of cartoons that do just that, hopefully make you laugh about these topics here. All right. Now, where do I get my ideas? Sometimes they just jump out at me from the television set. For instance, when Benjamin Netanyahu was speaking at the UN, he held up a diagram, and it looked like this. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's like the Warner Brothers cartoon with the bomb, things I used to watch on Saturday morning. So I drew this cartoon here. Here's Ahmadinejad, and he's saying, okay, who leaked our nuclear bomb design to Netanyahu? And of course, there's Wile E. Coyote looking very guilty over there. Sometimes it's just a story like this about Dick Cheney, who refuses to call the CIA's brutal interrogation techniques torture. I drew this cartoon. Here's Dick Cheney. Bring us your huddled masses yearning to be waterboarded. The U.S. just transferred sovereignty to our interim government, but all I got was this lousy t-shirt. I marched in the 1989 Tiananmen Square protest. What are you in for? I Googled the 1989 Tiananmen Square protests. All in favor of adjourning the climate change deniers meeting until the rescue boat arrives. Sorry, pal, there's a 5-day waiting period on that cupcake. Guess I'll have to resort to the bake sale loophole. I'm worried that healthcare has become too impersonal, Doc. Nonsense. Just relax and lie back on the barcode scanner. Now, this patient has a reason to be worried because, well, he has chronic bronchitis. So he's worried about that healthcare. This cartoon was supposed to run on Good Friday, but here it is. It's the annual hiding of the pedophile priest. This was obviously Benedict, and so it made it onto the page, but then the publisher killed it later at night. But it had already been sent out for syndication, so it ended up in USA Today a week later. So I was like, yeah. Here's one that did get into the paper. This is when Benedict decided to start a Twitter account for the Vatican. So that is his actual Twitter account there. OMG, this 21st century technology is great for spreading my 15th century views on gays, women, and contraception, LOL. And then my favorite part, hashtag say 10 Hail Marys. Job outsourced, no healthcare, up to my ears in credit card debt. Look on the bright side, no one will want to steal your identity. The good news is we've discovered life on Mars. The bad news is they're willing to work for 1/10 of your salaries. The tragic shooting at Virginia Tech makes me want to hug my loved ones and tell them it'll be okay. There. Yeah, see, I like the sort of laugh and then the groan. You know, it's always good. Comedy and tragedy. Here's another one, a more recent one on guns. Great for all occasions. We've got couples therapy, back to school, movie night, take your gun to work day, military base visit, and Bible study. Yeah, this was right after Charleston. This was one of the Berryman Award cartoons, so let's hear it. Thank you. But I like wearing it. It's a piece of Americana, a part of our collective heritage. Sorry, honey, I'll be burning your Bill Cosby sweater. Racism and pedophilia. It's funny, right? He has his father's eyes. Yeah, there you go. I am a revolutionary martyr, and I vow to fight on. Wow, Charlie Sheen really needs help. You know, they finally figured out what was bugging Charlie Sheen. He wasn't actually getting enough oxygen to the brain, as you can see from this x-ray. But they've figured it out now, so he's better. He's taking his medication. This one I did after Obama's midterm shellacking, as they called it. He's saying, I had a hard time communicating my message. What did he say? He said he's a hardline communist messiah. Here's the Benghazi committee after Hillary's 11-hour testimony. Well, that didn't go as planned. Most people just throw their hat in the ring, Senator Cruz. This could apply to many of the candidates, actually. Here's Jeb Bush saying, and of course he's on his brother's shoulders and is on his father's shoulders. Read my lips. I am my own man. Mission accomplished. Bernie and Goliath. I'm here to take back our democracy from millionaires and billionaires. How cute. The Game of Thrones 2016. This isn't a coronation. I want my minions to see me as a candidate of the people. You could start by not calling them minions. See, I didn't even have to explain why he was just standing there in his underwear, because we always draw him like that now. It's like drawing Putin without a shirt on, just the way it happens. All right, and finally, I want you all to sing along with me on this one. This is obviously Donald Trump. This was one I did around Christmas time. Dashing through the snow in a xenophobic sleigh, o'er the Mexicans we go, laughing all the way. I'll build a giant wall, ban the Muslims here. What fun it is to ride and sing a song of hate and fear. Oh, jingle bells, Obama smells a Muslim all the way. Oh, what fun it is to say whatever I want to say. And that's how I feel as a cartoonist. I get to say whatever I want to say. Thank you very much. It's been an honor. Thank you.